Right, we're at 7 o'clock, so we'll start this meeting. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of Burnside Council of July the 13th, opening at 7 p.m. We are still seated according to COVID restrictions in the chamber, but you are welcome to join us in the chamber foyer, and of course we do have public question time. Welcome also to those who are watching from home. Please stand for the acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the land that we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. We also pay respect to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people visiting and attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to those who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. Finally, we seek understanding and guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. In the case of an emergency, an alarm will sound and please then follow the directions of staff. I remind you that all council meetings are live streamed through the council's website, and for those at home, a copy of the agenda is available by downloading it from this website. Members are reminded just to raise your hand to indicate you wish to speak and use your microphones when speaking, and make sure you turn them off as soon as you finish speaking. I ask everyone here to turn off your mobile phones or place them on silent during the meeting. And a reminder of 3 minutes speaking time and only one question at a time, or are we into 2 questions at a time because there's a subsequent question allowed? Yeah, I'm just getting the nod from governance, right. Okay, to everyone present in the chamber and the foyer, please be respectful of each other and their opinions during the debates and not interrupt the person debating or talk when they're speaking. It's important that all views of the elected members are heard before any decisions are made. Now, we move to apologies. I have 2 from Councillor Hubel and Councillor Hughes. I have no leave of absences. Is there anyone who wishes to declare an interest? Councillor Jones?
Yep, 11.7.
Yes, so you are declaring
Actual conflict of interest.
an actual, it's not material, correct. Okay, thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Is there someone who would like to move? Thank you, Councillor Turnbull, seconded by Councillor Davey. All right. What are they, Councillor Davey? Or do you, first of all, do you wish to speak at all? No. Okay.
Page 7, the motion about the elected representation review report. We just need to synchronise our. I'll read out what I think it should be. That Council receives and notes the representation review report. 2, recommends, so it just needs an addition to the recommends, that after due consideration, the principal member of Council continues to be a mayor. 2, the council area continues, if we can add an S to 2.2, to be divided into 6 wards. 2.3, future elected body of council comprises another S there, and then that's 4's fine, and then at part 3 commences the second community consultation round. So it's just those additions. Thank you.
If you find those sort of errors in advance, just let us know prior to the meeting, Councillor Davey, would be useful. Right. I will put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We have no adjourned business. There's no one present for deputations, presentations and no petitions. I'll move into the reports and I seek first of all to find out if there's anyone who wishes to withdraw. So 11.1, does anyone wish to withdraw? Councillor Davey. Burnside Retirement Services, we have to do that one anyway. Who would like? Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak to it when we come? Yeah. Era Water, 11.3. Is there anyone who wishes to withdraw that for debate? Otherwise, I seek a mover, Councillor Lemon, seconded Councillor Cornish. All those in favour? Carried. Anyone against? Sorry, I should have said that first. Okay, carried. Minutes of the CEO Recruitment Performance Appraisal Review Remuneration Review Committee. Is there anyone who wishes to withdraw that? If not, I seek a mover. Thank you, Councillor Cornish, seconded by Councillor Piggott. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Eastern Health Authority minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to withdraw that? Otherwise, you wish to withdraw it, Councillor Lemon? So you wish to move it? Thank you, Councillor Lemon, seconded by Councillor Henschke. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Mayor's report. Only to change the date on that, it should be the 3rd of July. And I have already informed Council of that. I'm just asking that. You would like to call it Councillor Davey? And Council 11.7, who wishes to withdraw that? I've got two arms flailing around there, so you wish to, Councillor Lemon? All right. Right, so we'll go back to Councillor Davey, Heritage Reference Group Governance and Membership.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation. I do have, it's a very interesting group, quite a large group, and we need to start the work that we've already decided. There's 5 projects that the reference group will be overseeing. The one thing I am concerned about, though, is that I think while it's not a formal reference group of council, Section 41 committee, I do think it needs some terms of reference. But I'll raise that at the meeting and to the group, put that to the group. I just think that would enhance its status in the administration and just give it that little bit more status. So otherwise I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation tonight.
Councillor Henschke, then Councillor Davis.
I wish to second the motion. And
Do you wish to speak
yes,
now or later?
yes, now. Thank you, Mayor. This Heritage Reference Group has seen interest from a new residents association. It's called the East Residents Association. I know the CEO and the Mayor met with them today, and they're keen to have a representative join, which is great. I know they're aware of there's an expression of interest process in this proposal and various criteria. One criteria is that they do need to be a resident of the City of Burnside. I do hope that we can find someone with the right qualifications and experience in the City of Burnside to add to the capabilities of the group. Sometimes these experts don't live in the area. That may. So I do recommend you support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Henschke. Councillor Davis. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Davis? Don't play games. Councillor Lemon.
Yes, I'm happy to support the motion, but I am a bit concerned about terms of reference, because terms of reference then indicates that we're going to a Section 41 committee, and I don't think that was ever the intention with this committee. I think this committee, as the original report said, works best because it is, shall I say, a casual committee, so it allows people to come and go, it allows elected members to come and go as they wish. And whilst I think it's probably a good thing to have guidelines, I think we need to be careful about our terminology yes, about our terminology, because I think if we make this a formal committee, we will in fact diminish what it already is, and I think it's working very, very well as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Lemon. Is there anyone else now who wishes to speak? Is there any response from administration at this point either? Okay. In relation to Councillor Lemon's concern about if we put terms of reference, then it becomes a bit close to being a formal Section 41 committee.
Oh no, through Madam Mayor, I think I'm happy for the group to have that conversation.
Okay. Fine, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak then? All right, if there is not, I'll go back to Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I have a question though. In terms of the status of an informal committee and vis-a-vis guidelines for its operation or terms of reference, I don't understand that excludes, how does having some guidelines or terms of reference just formally written down so that everybody in the group knows what they are there for, how does that mean that it can't be an informal committee of council or reference group of council?
Through Madam Mayor, Councillor Lemon, I think Councillor Lemon is right. We don't want to start using the formal language as contained in Section 41. However, I don't think there's any issue, and I'm just reflecting on the picture that's back there, which talks about, in broad terms, what the committee is going to focus on. I don't think there's any risk in the committee clarifying what it's going to focus on. I would just caution using the formal terms as referred to in Section 41, that's all.
We certainly at the last council meeting discussed membership, we discussed our objectives, and they are very clearly and well presented in the visual graphic that we've all been provided with tonight, so I congratulate the staff on that. Do you wish to sum up now, Councillor Davey?
Thank you. Yes, I will. Our governance advice is that this is an informal group, reference group, and I recognise the importance of this, and it also acknowledges and is working towards reinforcing, raising awareness of and participating in history and heritage at the City of Burnside. However, it also mentions in the paper that it's designed to assist the CEO to achieve his key performance indicators in relation to heritage to ensure City of Burnside's best interests are being represented. And to my mind, I think that's where some structure in the group, whether it's guidelines or terms of reference, would be useful to achieve those goals. Anyway, for tonight, I recommend the report to you. Thank you.
Right, all those in favour? Against? Carried. And thank you, Farley, for all the work you've done on that. The next one is Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. Not quite sure how you'd want to manage this, whether or not we actually go out first to grab the two nominees from the elected members, or do you want me to move items 1 to 6 first, or...?
I think it's a good idea to move those first items first, and then we get to the voting or the decision-making part, which we have to do tonight.
Okay,
too.
so it's 1 to 7, I think, if that's correct that I'm moving. Yep. I will put that to the floor.
Is there a seconder to that part of the motion? Councillor Piggott? Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I had a question. It's a small question, actually. It's the rules require advertising in local papers, which I think is not totally contemporary. I just wonder how many sets of our rules around council still have that requirement. And it's perhaps more rhetorical. I probably don't need the number, but quite how we work on taking that out, I think, if it's seen to be the right thing to do. But my personal view is that advertising the paper for most jobs in this at the moment really is probably part of a thing of the past.
Through Madam Mayor, totally agree. So I think over time we will work that through the system, and I'm noting that I think in the reform bill, I think there's been some changes that acknowledge that very fact. And, yeah, it's in the Act. So it is working its way through the system.
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you for seconding it. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor Davey, you have a question?
Thank you, Mayor. Mine's in relation to the recruitment process. Advertising of the vacancies. I didn't know what the AICD, in para 31 on page 17. It's proposed to list the vacancy on Council's website, AICD, Civic and the Women on Board's website.
Yeah. So, through Madam Mayor, AICD is the Australian Institute of Company Directors. So it's we regularly, when we're looking for any board members, we regularly advertise on that site, and obviously they specialise in director recruitment, and they get that out to a vast network.
All right, you're allowed a subsequent question.
Follow-up question. And is there no use in advertising it in the good old-fashioned advertiser?
Actually, I don't believe there is. Through Madam Mayor, I think the areas that have been recommended will get far greater coverage than the advertiser.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Otherwise, I will go back to Councillor Cornish. All right, put this to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. All right, now we need to move on to nominations for the two vacancies for elected members. Councillor Dawes?
I wish to nominate Councillor Turnbull.
Councillor Turnbull, do you wish to accept that? Thank you. I think you were on it last time, weren't you? Yes. Councillor Lemon?
I'd like to nominate.
You'd like to nominate yourself, and I think also you were as well.
I was on it last time.
Last time too.
Turnbull wasn't.
Oh, okay.
She was on the time.
Time before, sorry. I knew they'd both been on before. Is there anyone else who wishes to nominate?
I move that motion.
No.
Councillor.
All right, just make sure we've got no more nominations, please. All right, thank you. All right, we have a mover of those two. Since there are only two, we do not need to go to a vote. Councillor Davis, you wish to? So,
I, Councillor Davis, move the following motion.
you don't need to read it all out. I just wish you to say rather than
That Council appoint Councillor Turnbull and Councillor Lemon to the BRSI working group.
Thank you. Is there a seconder, please? Councillor Davey, do you wish to say anything? Right, all those in favour then, I'll put it to the vote. Against? Carried. All right, congratulations to those two people then for going on that committee. The next one is number 11.6, Mayor's Activity Report. That's Councillor Davey.
Thanks, Your Worship. I just want to move the first part of the motion. Sorry, I just bit into a mint. And delete the second part. So I'm happy that we receive and note the activity report of Mayor Monceau for the period 17th of June to the 30th of June.
They just amended it to the 3rd of July.
Oh. To the 3rd of July, sorry. And that's extensive. There's lots of work done. I don't think it's relevant or in any way, has anything to do with the rest of council. This is your report, and we know that we can submit our reports separately if we so wish to put our activity reports in. So I'm just saying I think the mayors should stand alone and we should just be receiving that report. That's my intention. Thank you.
I don't have a problem with that. I didn't write this. I knew what I did. I didn't write the first part. But certainly, if everyone, are you happy to delete that, Councillor Davis?
I second the motion.
Okay. You second the motion. Do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this matter? That is, yes, Councillor Cornish.
Sorry, Your Worship. My understanding was that it's actually accepting the reports from elected members from the previous minutes that are included in the previous minutes. That's how I sort of read it last time.
I think that was the intent originally for having a statement like that, so that it's actually recognising those people who do submit reports, that they are acknowledged and accepted. But I'm quite happy to be guided in a different direction if that's the will of the council. Given there are none in the previous minutes, then I'm happy to remove. the removal would be a permanent removal, and potentially that might not be the case, so.
Well, that would be an issue.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this? Councillor Piggott.
Can I just round this out and clarify it? Do we need a clause like this to have the process of the elected member activity reports to go into the minutes, which is something we established? We used to spout forth and verbally present them, then we went back to written, and I think generally it is a view that we should keep them in the, well, perhaps it isn't, but if it is the view that we keep putting them in the minutes, anyone who does them, can that happen without a motion like that?
I'll seek governance response here.
Yeah, through the Mayor, we actually need this as part of the resolution to be able to formally include those contributions in the minutes. So if this is removed, we won't be able to do that.
So removing it tonight's not a problem because there's none in the minutes? Or is it tonight's ones that won't make it?
Through the Chair, if you were to amend this particular resolution, it will be tonight, but the question will then be for the next Mayor's report whether that needs to be included again or not.
But are they activity reports from the minutes gone or the ones that have been put in for this year? Sorry, that's three, I know. But
Nobody else has got their hand up.
yeah,
so
true.
I'll allow it.
I've started again.
So through the Mayor, members have up until 5 p.m. Today before the council meeting to actually include their contributions, and it's those that this is referring to.
Perhaps I could speak.
Yes.
That being the case, then it does have real effect. I mean, the connection to the Mayor, I don't disagree with Councillor Davey in regard to that. It's sort of been slotted in there. She didn't ask for it. We need to do it as a separate issue. It strikes me it's actually not a bad idea to leave it there. We probably don't lose much, and we'd have to put it somewhere else if we don't have it, if we want to keep the process going. And I would like to see the process stay going. So for that point, I feel we should not vote this up and go back to the original motion.
Thank you, Councillor Piggott. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor Davis?
Where in the meeting procedures does... my understanding was always that we were just included automatically in the policy. I didn't think that it was a requirement set out in the meeting procedures that it be passed or accepted by council. My understanding is I can put whatever I want in it and you don't have a choice.
Accept it to the minutes.
No, into the minutes, I thought it was. Yeah, it's red tape. It's
Councillor
unbelievable.
Davis, could you just turn your microphone off if you finish speaking, please?
Through the Mayor, the administration received legal advice when we were drafting the meeting procedures, and it's actually included on page 41, items 3.25 and 3.26. It makes it very clear that council will pass a resolution at each council meeting to formally receive and note members' activity reports received by the deadline.
And follow-up question, what do we call it? Supplementary question. Of which document is that?
Through the Mayor, it's the Code of Practice, Procedures at Meetings document.
32.5, okay.
Yep.
I think it's been made clear that we do have to acknowledge those members who do choose to present information to this document. And if this is the way we need to do it, then perhaps we are taking the guidance from our governance people in this respect. Councillor Lemon.
I too have a question about this. It seems overly clunky to have to do it at every council meeting. Can't we just have an item number on this before any other business? Or can we put forward a motion without, on notice, to actually just ensure that this happens to the end of this council term? Like, this is, to have to do it every single meeting seems to me, can't we just do something blanket? So
But we
that
would
it
have to
always
do it at
happens?
every single meeting in another way.
Well,
Rather than include it in with my report, it would have to be somewhere else as another item on the agenda.
well, unless we put in an agenda item, a standing item.
Yeah. Through Madam Mayor, just a question to Mr Cooper. Is it possible for council to do in essence, a standing adoption, so that it covers us for future meetings.
Through the Mayor, the understanding is that we can't have a blanket resolution going forward indefinitely. We do have to have a resolution at that meeting. We could have a separate agenda item, but it would still require a resolution of council for those reports to be included in the minutes.
Subsequent question, Councillor Lemon?
Thank you. I find that odd. I remember, okay, we've adopted a new code of practice. However, if we had an agenda item that said delegates' reports, with it being nil or 2, this is only to include them in the minutes. This is not to include them in the agenda. So, I find it extraordinarily difficult to comprehend that we have to do this every single time. I just think that is really clunky. There's got to be a way around. When somebody does submit something, it goes into that item. It's just like, we didn't have any public questions tonight, and we've got no motions on notice tonight, and, you know, like, surely.
If I may, Madam Mayor, for the sake of expediency for the meeting, I'm happy to take away the challenge of exploring this matter to deal with it.
So in the meantime, the guidance would be that this remains until next council meeting or not?
This evening, because we have not received any council member reports, up until 5, it's 5 o'clock's past. 5 o'clock's past. So you don't need it this evening. Okay. But in future, we need to look at a way of addressing it.
Okay. So the agreement is that they'll look at a different way in the future for addressing it. So, all right. Councillor Davey.
Could I clarify why? I mean, this whole set of policy procedures at meetings, it's 65 pages long. It is so verbose and bureaucratic. It is a nightmare. Is there any reason why we can't have a separate heading, which is members' activity report, elected members' activity reports, which is quite separate from the mayor's
Councillor Davey,
activity.
that's exactly what the CEO is going to look at between now and our next meeting. What are the options according to the rules we've established for ourselves that we all agreed to, and according to the governance recommendations that we're receiving from the staff?
Because we used to have this before with no problems whatsoever, and I don't understand why it's got all caught up and complex.
Now, the next person, do you wish to respond, or shall I go to Councillor Davis and then it was Councillor Piggott? You have another question, Councillor Davis?
So my question was, how can we vote to accept these reports that were received if we haven't seen them and they're not on the agenda?
So, through Madam Mayor, obviously tonight it's not an issue because there are none.
Well, it is an issue tonight.
But going forward, one of the things I'd like to explore is the potential to push forward the deadline, so there is an opportunity for them to be included in the agenda. Potentially.
Which is the way we used to do it a number of years ago. Right, Councillor Piggott is next and then Councillor Lemon.
Actually, I was only waving at the Chief Executive to get him to turn his microphone off. So, thank you.
All right, Councillor Piggott, do you wish to speak? All right, then it's Councillor Lemon. Okay.
So that was just mute yourself, Mr. Cowley. I've almost lost my train of thought, and I had it there. I had it, it was terrific. And now it's gone.
It's Piggott's fault.
And it's Piggott's fault. I'm sorry. There is something that we do already that would actually pick this up. And I thought of it, and it's gone. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Councillor Piggott wants to ask a question. By the time he gets back, you might remember. Councillor Piggott.
Could I move that the motion be put, please?
Yeah, as long as I can remember what the motion was, which I think it's just the first part.
Just the first part.
Right. Okay, so the motion has been put that the motion be put. So those in favour? Oh, we need a seconder. Yes, we do. Sorry, Councillor Jones is seconding. So now all those in favour? Against? Carried. And we've given the opportunity for the CEO to look at a way of acknowledging those elected members who have presented something. Right.
We have to move the motion. Vote on the motion.
Yes, that was the motion we put. Now we vote on the motion. Okay. Okay. And now, does it have to go back? It doesn't have to go back. Too late now. Okay. All right. So those in favour? Those against? Carried. Next one is Councillor Lemon.
So I'll move the officers' report. I'll move the officers' report, and with the addition of a number 4. And the number 4 is that council right to the Attorney General, right. Oh, well, I don't know that there's an S on that, but right to the Attorney General to express its dismay. To express its dismay at the amount of time it has taken for this report to be presented to us. Thank you. So I'll speak to the motion, including the amendment. I don't know that we can do anything else but go with what the officer's recommendation is and what the Ombudsman requires of us. I think it's fairly clear cut when you read this that we don't have a lot of choice here. And number 4 is, I'm really concerned that we're looking at tonight, something that happened within the first 7 months of our term, and we're now almost in the last year. So it's taken more than 2 years for us to receive an 8-page report from the Ombudsman. And what concerns me about that is that we've just had new legislation go through Parliament about controlling elected members' behaviour and a variety of other things, and we are the most, as elected members, we are the most scrutinised of all elected, but parliamentarians, both state and federal, do not have codes of conduct, aren't as scrutinised as we are. And I don't mind that we're scrutinised. This is no complaint of being scrutinised. We say that we're the closest to the people, and we are, and therefore I think we should be as open and transparent as we can be. But I don't know that we're well served if we have to wait 2 years for an 8-page report for the potential transgressions of one. Now, it's not potential in this report, it's been admitted, so, you know, we just follow the format. But I'm really concerned, and I think state government can make any new acts and put any regulations around them. If they're not prepared to actually respond to anything that council comes up with in a timely manner, and I don't mean within a week, but 2 years. 2 years for an 8-page report. I just think it's disgraceful, and I think we should let that be known to the person responsible for it. So I hope you support this.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Davis, do you wish to second?
Yes.
I'm not seeing any other hands, so you might have to speak now. Oh no, Councillor Piggott and then Councillor Henschke.
I have a question to you, Madam Mayor, if I may. Has Councillor Jones expressed any apology, particularly in respect to the first matter in the report to you on behalf of the council, perhaps?
I think, I'm not quite sure that I'm allowed to actually respond to that. We have had a discussion about it because I needed to let him know that this report was coming tonight. He was aware, of course, that we had to, as a council, act before a deadline because we have to report back to the Ombudsman that we have taken this action or an appropriate action. So at this point, I think that's all I can say.
As a supplementary question, I don't quite understand why you can't answer the question. I mean, I understand you've answered.
Well, it was a private conversation.
You don't want to.
Right, okay.
I would rather not divulge what was in a private conversation.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the motion, if I may, to slot in at number 3. Yeah, I want to keep everything in. I just want to slot one in between 2 and 3, if I can. I'd just like to ask for an apology.
That's actually raising the requirement above this basic level that the Ombudsman has reported to us as a requirement.
Yes. Correct. Does someone need to counsel me on that?
It is an amendment unless the mover wishes to accept it as part of. No, actually it's completely different, isn't it, from the Ombudsman's report, so therefore it would have to be an amendment. Seek governance support on this one.
I'm comfortable.
Through the Mayor, yes, this should be an amendment.
Thank you. Well, it's different from what the Ombudsman has reported.
Yeah, no, it's an amendment to the motion, but you sound like you're warning me off.
No. I'm just saying I think it needs to be an amendment because it's different, quite different from what has actually is in this report. It's an addition, or it's a, yeah. That's all I'm saying.
And if through Madam Mayor, just to answer your question, no counsel is required.
Actually, I might put it between 3 and 4 though, instead of 2 and 3. Just a subtle difference. And I'd just like to say, request that from Councillor Jones a formal written apology to Council. And if be provided to Council. And just speaking to that, I too share Councillor Lemon's dismay about the time it's taken, in particular with the first part of the report. It was a very tough time of council. It was a pretty indecent act to particularly the Mayor actually, but also to council generally, I feel. And I sort of feel as a minimum, and I do note in the report that he did say to the Ombudsman that he'd learned from it and a year later he wouldn't do it, and I actually asked him tonight whether that was still the case, and he says it is, so I'm buoyed by that. But I do feel as a council we are entitled to an apology, and I think even from the actions tonight in calling conflict of interest, when the Mayor actually had to lead into it and then he did it in a rather dismissive way, in my view, I do feel that that's sort of how he acted at the time. And though it means not much to get an apology, like there's no practical thing, it doesn't feed anybody or pay any bills, I don't know, I just feel it's right in this case. And it's a bit like, you know, we give him a reprimand, that doesn't kill anybody or get paid. It is just words on a piece of paper. But I do feel that it is an action of the level that we are entitled to an apology. And so I feel that that should be requested. I suspect the motion would have the effect that if he doesn't, so be it. But, you know, I think that would be an appropriate conclusion to what is, you know, a pretty pretty disappointing effort, actually, from a person who joined council, and at the time was and I'm sure he still is actually, in a job that obviously requires a certain level of professionalism and confidentiality in his working life. It's not a concept that would be new to him. It was a clear, in my view, action to thumb his nose at us. So I feel it's appropriate to request a formal written apology, and the rest of it I'm happy to support.
Councillor Henschke, you wish to speak? Oh, wait a minute, we've got an amendment, so I need a seconder for the amendment. Councillor Davey, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to second that amendment. I was hoping that perhaps some sort of statement would be made to the council before Councillor Jones left the chamber. I think that was an opportunity for him to express regret to us, and that wasn't done. We haven't received any written apology for what is a regrettable incidents at the time. While it was 2 years ago, I understand Councillor Jones' inexperience at the time. These findings have been made, and I'm sure, he's a great contributor to council. He's got so many good qualities, but I just think in light of, in view of the seriousness of these two findings, that it is appropriate that a written apology be presented to council. Thank you.
Now, Councillor Henschke, do you wish to speak on the amendment? No. Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this amendment? Councillor Dawes?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. Can I ask a question? Certainly. Yeah. I heard you earlier mentioned about the levels of reprimand, or I don't know what the words are, but can someone explain to me, the Ombudsman has said reprimand, what's the next level up and what's the next level up from there? Does administration have those details?
Through Madam Mayor, no, I don't have the details to hand.
I believe only from talking with other mayors that this is the minimum level, that an apology is the next level, because one of the other councils recently had an elected member be required by the Ombudsman to apologise on a situation of divulging information that was confidential. So, pardon? Like this one? Yes, but it was a different level. So it was judged by the Ombudsman as being a different level. And quicker too. It was actually. Councillor Dawes, does that answer your question? We can't be categorically clear on that, but as I said, from discussions with other mayors, that appears to be the situation. And I'm not divulging anything confidential in that, because that other particular situation most recently was in the minutes of another council meeting.
Well, this leads me to the second question.
Yep.
That if we are not agreeing to the Ombudsman's recommendation and we decide something different tonight, what does that mean from the council perspective?
Through Madam Mayor, I believe that what council, in the amendments before us, council is actually adopting the recommendation made to it by the Ombudsman, but adding to it by adding this further step. So I'm actually, if this was to get up, I'm very confident that the Ombudsman would acknowledge that council has followed his recommendations to the letter.
It is always up to the council to determine whether the outcome should be of a greater limit or a greater amount, but I don't think we can impose financial burden, as the Ombudsman would potentially be able to do had he found that the result required it. Councillor Henschke.
Thank you, Mayor. A question, the item 5 there, where we're saying writing to the Attorney General to express dismay at the amount of time it's taken. My question is, how much time does, pardon? Oh, okay, yeah.
Just checking in case this was not related to the amendment.
Oh, yep. So what amount of time is the ICAC accountable for anyways? Maybe this is a normal amount of time.
Through Madam Mayor, in my experience, there's a broad range of timeframes that the Ombudsman has exhibited for items such as this, down to as short a period as 3 months. In my opinion, I think I heard Councillor Davis saying across the floor, this probably is the byproduct of being under-resourced. However, that's not the issue for this council, and we should still bring it to their attention that it should be addressed.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak or ask a question? Councillor Lemon?
Yes, my question is regarding the item 4, the amendment of the amendment. In terms of requesting Councillor Jones, we're actually requesting him, we're not forcing him. This actually occurred to me when I was thinking about how cross I was about the 2 years it's taken for this to come back to us. And if it was complex, that wouldn't be so bad. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. But requesting him is actually giving him a choice, because I think it's important we give him a choice. Do you see that as giving him a choice?
I certainly see, otherwise you would have used the word require.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else now who wishes to speak? Otherwise, I will put the amendment. Those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hands. Those against? The amendment is carried. The amendment becomes the motion, and that motion was put by Councillor Lemon and Councillor Davis. You haven't spoken yet to second it.
Yeah, I'll second it.
You asked to withhold your...
Yeah, there's been reported in the press where actually the Ombudsman has gone out in the media saying that they're dramatically underfunded and that would actually compromise his office and ability. I think it was Wayne Lyons at the time who wrote the article saying that he couldn't actually get through the amount of work that was on his desk. And to my mind, writing to the Attorney General saying, look, this is the consequence of underfunding the Ombudsman's office, and these things are happening. And I think also it's completely unfair for any councillor, whether it's here or elsewhere, to wait 2 years for a resolution or outcome of it, because you've essentially got that hanging over you as well. And the administration's got that hanging over them, and the complainant, everyone involved is got this as a sticking point. So I think absolutely we should try and progress that, and whilst there's a comment made that wasn't our purview, I do think it is, because really they're our watchdog. So if essentially councils are getting criticised and it takes 2 years for that feedback to happen, then I think that's completely ridiculous. My understanding as well of the different levels is that there's reprimand, which is essentially nothing, then a suspension, and then we've seen it to a stage where the Ombudsman has recommended that council would apply to the district, or told the council to apply to the district court to have a councillor barred from re-entering government. So those are the tiers that I'm aware of anyway. So look, I support the motion. I think also that it's a good opportunity for Councillor Jones to express that to the chamber, and I think that would do a lot of good. It's very much a shame that we're in the media again, as we will be, I'm sure, tomorrow, but that's a reality of it. And I know that Councillor Jones, given his background, is aware of these types of things, so I think that it would be a good opportunity for him to address the chamber and clear that bad air. So I support the motion.
Right, I think Councillor, there are two people who have not spoken at either for the amendment or the motion, so if either of them wish to speak, Councillor Carbone.
Thank you, Worship. I too am disappointed about the turnaround time, but looking a little deeper into this issue, I'm disappointed that we went through this process to begin with. Now, one of the items that the Ombudsman looked at was when he revealed the budget for the Kensington Gardens Reserve. Now, we were all there and we all remember what happened. And he asked a question and he realised it was a mistake. And he apologised within seconds of that taking place. So he actually has apologised already for one of them. But once again, we find ourselves in a situation where someone, whoever they are, has an issue, a concern, a complaint about another elected member. And instead of picking up the phone or maybe having a chat to the CEO or having a chat to the mayor and trying to address this, you know, in-house in a civil, professional manner, we're running off to ICAC.
Can I raise a point of order?
What is your point of order and where are you taking it from?
So the Ombudsman's found a Code 3 breach. It's actually a mandatory reporting requirement for every single elected member to report it.
That is not what
Councillor Carbone is arguing. My point of order would be that Councillor Carbone is essentially trying to influence councillors not to report Code 3 breaches of conduct.
I'm not going to accept it as a point of order.
That's not what I'm saying, Your Worship. I'm saying as a first point of contact, it would be nice to try and address these things in-house rather than running off to ICAC every single time. And the fact that it's taken 2 years, that in itself illustrates that he is bogged down with this kind of stuff, okay, which in the big scheme of things, okay, in life, this is probably at the more petty minor end, okay? So all I'm saying is that, you know, if you do have issues, concerns, complaints, and there's some people who have a lot of them these days, that try and address them differently rather than going through these sort of political manoeuvres. That's all I'll say. I am in favour of the report. I am in favour of the motion on, that we have before us. All I'm saying is next time... Oh, would you shut up? Jesus
It's not fair
Christ.
that you keep on interrupting. You have a difference of an opinion, that's fine. Right, let's leave it at that.
Oh, he just shakes his head.
No, Councillor Carbone, don't continue the debate or the argument, okay?
Okay.
He wasn't here when I did remind people about interrupting people speaking.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. That's all I'll say.
I am going to offer Councillor Turnbull the opportunity to speak if she wishes to, and Councillor Dawes, because neither of them have actually spoken on the motion or on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to say, well done, Councillor Carbone. Couldn't have said it better. It's absolutely ludicrous going through this again and again.
This crap is still going on.
Councillor Davis, could you please refrain from making comment?
Go build your building.
Councillor Carbone, you don't need to do it either, because that only makes the situation worse, okay?
I'm sorry, Your Worship. I apologise for that.
Thank you.
I mean, how's that maintaining?
Thank you, Councillor
And I'll
Davis.
just
We
say-
do not need to continue with it.
I'll just say again...
I would like
this is
Councillor
a lot
Turnbull
of
to have the
rubbish
opportunity to
that's
start
been going on.
again and be timed as a start again because of the interruptions.
It's obviously a political manoeuvre. It's probably going to work, but why go to all this trouble and, well, time? It's just ridiculous, so I will not be voting for it.
Thank you. Councillor Dawes?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My concern here is that on 2 occasions we've had the Ombudsman give reports to us, and the previous one was, if I can recall, about credit cards. And there was a belief around the room, not a strong belief, that the Ombudsman was a bit too heavy with his recommendations. With this one, it seems as though we now believe that he wasn't heavy enough with his recommendation. So I'm always of the belief that when you have an independent person who has no interest in it except to look at the facts before him, makes a recommendation to us, and I believe we should accept that recommendation. So I'm not along the lines of previous speakers. I just want to point out the independence of the Ombudsman is so important here. Thank you.
Right, now Councillor Piggott, you wish to ask a question?
A couple if I get them, but one at a time, perhaps. I just want to seek some guidance for future based on what Councillor Carbone raised. If we've got a confidential paper tonight, if I was to give that to the press tomorrow, or a page of it, would it be appropriate for other members of the council or even administration to actually report that as a breach of my duties?
You're posing a rhetorical question which would probably be part of a debate rather than anyone being asked to answer it.
Rhetorical, does that mean the answer is obvious?
The answer is in the mind of the person who is making that decision and in terms of how they vote.
I don't think that's right, actually.
Well, and who do you want to answer this question?
I want the CEO to answer it. That's who I directed it to.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise it was directed specifically. You didn't actually mention who it was that you were directing it to.
I do want the answer because I know
Yeah. So, through Madam Mayor, in this case, because we're public officers of this organisation, the whole government, we would have a duty to report.
Right. There are another couple of questions. Can we come back, or is it a subsequential question? Right, Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. I will speak in favour of the motion as it stands at the moment. I do have a slightly different opinion to yourself in terms of the hierarchy. I think an apology first, then reprimand. But that's just me. That, you know, we've all apologised on the odd occasion for gaffes that we've said in this chamber, or things that we've done. And I think contrition is always the first step, rather than getting your hand slapped. That's the second step, which is, in my mind, what a reprimand is. I think it is quite smart that we actually raise this with the state government, that the Ombudsman is under-resourced. I too was dismayed with the length of time. I'm happy to support the motion as it stands. Again, it's just a piece of paper, and given some of the comments that we've read in the report, I don't think Councillor Jones would be too dismayed with it. He even said before the meeting that if we didn't vote for it, we ourselves would be in trouble with the Ombudsman. So because we have to vote for it. So I'm very happy to follow that lead. So thank you.
I just have to say it is more than just a piece of paper. Yes, absolutely. And there is an admission in that document through the interviews that is admitted that he did disobey the regulations. No, but he wasn't required to at this point in time, okay, to the whole group. Now, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I think everybody has spoken, so I will now go back to Councillor... Okay, question?
And this, I think, and the answer to this, and if I'm wrong, then I'll clarify. My understanding is that if there is a Part 3 breach of the Act, which is disclosure of confidential information there is a reporting requirement by every single person who's seen that happen. So if you don't report the member, you're in breach of the Act. That was always my understanding. Is that the case?
Yes, that is the case. Now, Councillor Lemon, you raised the motion. You have the final speak.
Wow. What can I say? Thanks, everybody, for your passionate response to this. I just seek your support for this motion. We've talked enough about it, so I won't talk about the motion anymore. What I'll talk about is the letter that we all seem to agree on. I think it's very important that Council doesn't write a letter about the Ombudsman's office being underfunded, because I think somebody pointed out quite rightly that's not our business. It's our business to have effective governance, and effective governance means that we get information in a timely fashion. Whether somebody is under-resourced, that's their business to actually deal with it, or perhaps outsource their work somewhere else. I just think that we just need to bring this to the attention of the Attorney-General, and I think it's timely that we do that, in the sense that the new Act has just come through, and you know what? You can actually draft as many acts in the world as you like. If you've got no way of making sure they're being properly implemented, they are merely pieces of paper. So we should all be working together with state government and I know that the Local Government Association and local councils have been working with state government. So I think this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and I think we're in a happy position to be able to point it out right now. So I hope you support this.
All those in favour? Those against?
Yeah.
Division's been called. So please stand, those who supported the motion. Councillor Henschke, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Davey, Councillor Piggott, Councillor Davis, Councillor Lemon, and Councillor Carbone. Those against, Councillor Turnbull and Councillor Dawes. About the passing of Councillor June Schaefer, ex-mayor of Burnside, but she actually did die back in October 2020. And the notice that I saw in the paper on the weekend, which sparked my memory on my consideration and concern, was actually a notice that they were able to now have a ceremony to remember her, because COVID back in October last year prevented that from happening. So I think it still doesn't hurt to recognise the amazing work that she did. She was an OAM, and that a lot of her OAM work was actually as a result of her charitable works, and she was the third female mayor of Burnside, and I do pay a great deal of gratitude to her paving the way in that role. My other announcement I wanted to make too is, and I really do, even at this time, remember the family and give sympathies to the family. The other acknowledgement I want to make is my most sincere sympathies to the president of the Burnside Lions Club, who passed away very suddenly last week. Now, Bob Rowell has been a lion for 49 years. He began in Whyalla, and then when he moved for work to Adelaide, he joined the Burnside Lions and has been an amazing member. I was speaking to their secretary today, who said that he had been a district governor. He had been every single aspect of the work that the Lions Club do, he has been either a leader of or participated in for over 40 years here in Burnside. And so I just wanted to recognise the service that he has given and provided not only this community, but Lions do amazing work in terms of regional South Australia. You know, they hired trucks to take hay out to the farmers during the drought. They, of course, run the Lions Shed up at JB Ware Reserve, and they do a great deal of other service working for the blind, raising money in many, many other ways, not only for South Australia and Australia, but also for overseas. And Bob has had an amazing journey and in his leadership over that. So for the sake of the family and all of those members of the Lions Club, both past and present, and the Lions community, I wish to just recognise and pass on my sincerest sympathies. Confidential items now. So, sorry, Councillor Lemon.
Is there a way we can actually include that in the minutes? Our sincere condolences to the family of, and our sincere condolences to the family of the Lions Club and the Lions Club in Burnside. Can we make a little note of that in our minutes?
No, more than happy to include a comment in the minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that suggestion, Councillor Lemon. I think it's really important that we recognise some of our citizens who do an amazing service. I couldn't believe it when Barry told me today, different Barry, that it was been with the club, with Lions for 49 years. It's quite an amazing and outstanding, and he'd only actually been made the new president about 2 weeks ago. Very sudden. All right, now we move to our confidential items, and I seek, all right, Councillor Davis, you wish to read that out for us?
Pursuant to Section 92 of the Local Government Act 1999, the Council orders that all members of the public, except the elected members of the City of Burnside, the City Chief Executive Officer, Director Community and City Aviation, Director Corporate Development, Director Environment and Place, Governance Officer, executive support officer and executive assistant to the CEO, mayor and councillors be excluded from attendance at the meeting for item 15.1, appointment of member to the Brown Hill and Keswick Creek Stormwater Board report number 176-21. 2, the council is satisfied that pursuant to section 93A of the Act, the information to be received, discussed or considered as information, the disclosure of which would involve the unreasonable disclosure of information concerning the personal affairs of any person, living or dead, being the information of the board member seeking a 3-year term on the board. 3, that the council is satisfied the principle that the meeting be conducted in a place open to the public has been outweighed by the need to keep the information or discussion confidential.
Sorry, I apologise to everyone. We didn't actually have to read it out because it is in the agenda, so it's available to the general public.
Well,
but thank you for doing so anyway. All right, so now we just need some time. I put it to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Sorry? Oh, need a seconder. Sorry, Councillor Piggott. Are you happy to second? All right, those in favour? Carried. Sorry.